Hey guys, it's Justin at the Survivor Review. George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead. What can be said about this movie that hasn't already been said? It's a classic, it's a great film, one of the best zombie movies, probably my favorite zombie movie, and one of my favorite films of all time. One of the most influential movies to come out of the 70s in my opinion, and all around, great movie. But sadly, in the 2000s, like most horror classics, it got remade in 2004 by director Zack Snyder. And the remake I never saw. I mean, as I'm talking right now, I haven't seen it. I haven't watched it yet, and I don't know, I just never felt like it. I never had too much against it. I wasn't like, oh my god, I can't watch it. Dawn of the Dead remake. But there's always just the sense that I feel like I'm not going to be missing out if I don't see it. And, you know, I might even hate it. I don't know. And just a movie I never got around to watching and never really planned to watch. And I've seen a few remakes. Some of them I felt like out of necessity. Like I saw Rob Zombie's Halloween movies because I'm a huge fan of the original Halloween and of that franchise. You can't see because it's cut off. Right there's a Halloween shrine. And so I felt like it was kind of my duty to at least have seen it. So I at least have seen every movie made. But since this one, Dawn of the Dead, wasn't really connected to a franchise, it kind of was, but it was more of just like a standalone remake of a movie in the franchise. It never felt like something that I had to see, never really felt necessary. So, why am I going to watch it now? Well, I don't know, I started to get more interested in it. And it also helped that a couple of weeks ago, I went to the horror convention called Flashback Weekend and met George Romero himself and the entire cast of the original Dawn of the Dead. And during the convention, I went to a Q&A with the whole cast there talking about the movie, and one of the questions somebody asked was, what's your opinion on the remake?
You had a cameo in the remake, and I was wondering if I could get your opinion on kind of what you thought of the remake.
I was glad they didn't try to emulate or imitate George Romero's humor or his perspective, because that would be very hard to do. Right? So they just went a different direction.
I thought it was a tribute to us, to our film, to George's film. But I was very happy. I thought it was a very good horror film. I thought it was exciting. I thought some of the shots were fantastic, especially the crane shots, the hit shots. Great shots, great action. I thought it was a tribute to us. I thought it was a good film.
Just in that moment, I was sitting there, I kind of thought, I kind of feel like watching the remake. It's the first time I've ever felt this. I mean, I've seen bits of it on TV. I've through the channels. I might watch it for like a minute or two. Then I'm like, So I never really have seen the full movie. And so finally, I'm actually gonna sit down here and watch the movie. Then afterwards, I'm gonna give you a review of the movie, showing my opinion and what I think of it. So, just so you guys know, the version I'm watching is the theatrical cut, because this is the only copy that my library had. So I don't know what's the difference between the unrated or theatrical, or if the unrated is a whole lot better, or just a couple extra seconds of gore. But this is the version I'm watching, the theatrical cut. And yeah, I hope to enjoy it. At least, I've heard great things. I've heard some people praise it, calling it like one of the best zombie movies, and people who love the original, like saying that this is a really good remake. And I know, in case any of you are wondering, Sam's opinion on it, Sam doesn't really care for it. He says it's a decent zombie movie, but it's not really anything special. So I'm kind of going into this with kind of not really much expectation, because I know I might like it like everybody else, and might think it's a modern masterpiece, or I might be like Sam and just think it's meh. So I'm not really going in with too much expectations. I just hope to get a fun zombie movie out of it. So I'm going to go watch it right now. Alright, so I just finished watching the Dawn of the Dead remake. And I liked it. My opinion is more in between the great praise that a lot of people give it, and Sam's kind of like, meh, it's okay view. I'm kind of in between. I thought it was a really well-made fun and enjoyable movie, but heavily flawed and not the best and not as amazing as people are saying it. Now, it is one of the better horror remakes, definitely, hands down. It's not as good as the great ones like The Thing, if you count that as a remake, or The Fly. It's not one of the best, but it's definitely one of the more well done, more enjoyable films. My major flaw with it is I thought there was a little too many characters, so like we didn't have time to really develop all the characters, and some characters you thought were like the main characters kind of get like lost in the shuffle in the middle of the movie. And so I felt they should have cut down the characters a little bit to give more time for some other characters. That, and which I kind of found surprising, they didn't really take advantage of the whole mall situation. The fact that they're in a shopping mall, it's just the place where they're at. And maybe they're trying to distance it from the original to make it different, but I feel in like today's society where the mall is such a big thing, they should have put more emphasis on like them doing stuff in the mall, like kind of like how the original did. I'm not gonna try to compare this to the original as much because it's a really different film, and I really like it for that. But I feel they could have done a little bit more. And there's that one montage of them like having fun at the mall and stuff like that, and that felt very forced, and that didn't really work in my opinion. That montage didn't work as well as I could have, and I felt that was kind of a missed opportunity. It was a missed opportunity to do well at the mall. But yeah, I like how it was different. I mean, the movie did not need to be called Dawn of the Dead. If you're like, concerned about this being a remake, just think of it as just its own zombie movie that has the same idea as Dawn of the Dead, about people taking refuge in the shopping mall. If you think of it in that sense, it works. And I do like that they didn't imitate scenes from the original, because I always hate it when remakes do that, especially for movies that I really love. Like, that was one of my many problems, and I mean many problems with Rob Zombie's Halloween. I'll elaborate on those later, but the one I'm talking about is the fact that once it got to the whole remake portion, it imitated a lot of the scenes from the original, and that to me was kind of distracting because I love the original so much, so seeing this big budget movie imitating a classic scene, and I didn't like it. So I like how there's none of that in this movie. There's no scenes that are imitated or recreated. There's some good nods, though. I love the cameos by Tom Savini, Ken Foree, and Scott Reiniger. Their cameos were awesome. I thought that was really cool seeing them in those parts, especially having Ken Foree say repeat his classic line from the original. That was cool. There's enough respect put in. I think Zack Snyder's a very stylish director, and it was cool seeing a movie of his that isn't populated with a ton of CG. That was a little more scaled back from overuse of CG, so that's really cool. And he has a really good visual style that keeps the movie going, keeps the movie frantic without resorting to a full-on shaky cam. It still makes the scenes intense. And the whole running zombies thing, I don't have a problem with it. I'm up for different interpretations. I thought they did it well in this movie. It was an interesting, different version, different take on the whole running zombie, and I thought it was cool. I liked that, and the opening scene was very good. I liked it for the most part. I thought some of the scenes where the main girl was like being attacked by her boyfriend or her husband or whatever, I thought that was a little generic-y, but the rest of the stuff after that was really cool, and the opening credits were awesome. So the movie starts out pretty dang good, and then I felt in the middle is where it kind of lags and the characters aren't as interesting, and then the end when it just amps up on the action, I thought that was really cool and really fun. And I like how some of the characters, like, they weren't completely annoying. Like, they got the the annoying douchebag who is like the mall security guy, and you look at him at first like, okay, I'm gonna hate him for the whole movie. He may have like a redemption scene near the end, which he kind of does in this one, but I like how they actually made him like a smart character, not a full-on annoying character. Like, they're like, hey, we have to look around this to make sure everything's safe, and he goes, and he actually thinks like, yeah, that's a smart idea, we should do that. So I like how they made him like a smart character. He still had his annoyances, but I kind of made that character a little bit better. But there's too many kind of just random characters. Like the old man who was with them, who's with like that group that got there later, and who ends up accidentally killing accidentally killing a character with a chainsaw near the end. That guy, he was, who was he? He was just there. And so the characters were not completely stupid, but they weren't completely interesting. And that's my problem. But overall, it's a fun, I think it's worth their time to check out, and it's not as amazing. I know a lot of people give the movie like great praise, and I can see liking it. I think it's definitely a good movie, but I don't see it as this big huge classic. I'd say it's one of the better remakes, but still isn't up there as a great one. But definitely one of the ones that's more worth watching. The major flaws is it doesn't take advantage of the whole mall setting, and a little too crammed with characters that don't get enough time. Out of 10, I'm actually going to give this a pretty positive 7.5. I don't feel like I'm going to watch the movie again too soon, but I wouldn't mind owning it on DVD. So yeah, I finally saw Dawn of the Dead remake, something I never thought I was going to do. It's just something I never really felt I needed to do, but started to gain some interest, and finally I did, and I'm not disappointed. I'm not blown away, but I'm not disappointed. So until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.